brief history about Saba and how we got to this point, because this was a journey, and the journey continues. So really today is the beginning, is another milestone to the journey of Adna. But it's a journey that has taken, as you can see, almost 7 years to get to this point. المشروع ده بديناه هنا في هيوستن back in 2005 as a concept that I shared with my high school classmate, Dr. Ahmed Stein, in the back. By the way, we are high school classmates, and incidentally, we went our different ways after high school, and then we met 20 years later in Houston. So I was very happy to share my dream, my ideas with Ahmed. And back in 2005, we just talked about it. Lano, both of us have been in the U.S. for quite some time. I've been around the U.S. and really watching other immigrant communities, how they work. And we were concerned that we were basically on the periphery as Sudanese Americans. We are successful individually, but collectively we really are voiceless. And so that was our concern. So we started this concept, and then we really formed a group called ASPAC back then. And our main thinking was to create a national organization to influence U.S. policy towards Sudan back then. That was the objective. And a few of our friends who are here, Saif in the room. Saif is here. Saif is one of the people that were originally in Muslim, of course, as well. So, but then, and we started to grow the organization. We joined up with Fatih and a few others across the U.S. So we started to grow it organically through word of mouth, basically people that we trust and we can introduce the concept to. And it took a while, but that's how we started to grow the concept across the country. And then we basically came to the realization that our thinking really needs to be focused around the interests of Sudanese Americans here in the U.S. first, because we realize that events in Sudan happen faster than we can influence them, and we really need to get ourselves organized, get our house in order first, as Sudanese Americans, as effective citizens, before we can do anything else. And so that's where we shifted our focus and formed Saba with its current formulation that you'll see in a minute. Let's go to the next slide. So again, I'll just hit on a couple of points here. So why do we need Saba? There are Jallies and there are lots of other organizations. Well, so we have all been through the experiences في الجاليات ولا في المنظمات اللي كنا فيها. I personally was president of the Jalliah in Houston, and so was Saif. So we've experienced a lot of the attempts that we've tried across the country to come together in a national way. And but we've seen the disappointments, especially for our young generations, who've basically almost written off the idea of having a national organization that they can belong to and can be proud of. And so we have that experience already. But we think that the main reason why really we failed through these things is because we tried to do this the Sudanese way, which is our normal way of organizing, the way that we did back home. And that has not gotten us any results. And so what we're doing here is really trying to learn from other immigrant communities. And Farouk will share with you how successful immigrant communities have done this. And so that's how we're planning to do this. We're starting something different, and we're planning to do it basically not the traditional way, but rather the American way. So that's our vision. Let's go to the next one. Next slide. So focusing again on learning from others that have done this before, so no need to reinvent the wheel. الناس اللي جربوا قبلينا هنا ونجحوا عملوا كل الحياة عايزين نعملها. So هنتعلم منهم, and we will basically follow a model as opposed to try to do it our way. In particular, Southeast Asians, so you can, wherever you are in the country, you will probably know that they have extremely successful organizations that represent them across the country, whatever studied, and we're convinced that what we are planning to do can be done, and so that's why we launched this concept that we're about to share with you. So it's a successful path, basically, that we're following, and focusing on the next generations in particular. الفocus بتاعنا هيكون في الأجيال الجاية. And as you can see from the board, we have representation from young Sudanese Americans who we believe are the leaders of tomorrow. And those are the people that are going to lead us to where we need to be. The idea that we are collectively are in much better position to do this as one voice. But we're convinced that leadership has to come from the young generations, and that's where we're focusing a lot of our efforts on. Just briefly, there's not enough time to go into the details of the whole structure of Saba. All that information is available on our website. There's a lot of presentations, and our mission and our goals are all on our website, saba.org. But I wanted to just share with you the structure of the organization and how we govern SAPA as an organization, and how we plan to do it going forward in the future. At the highest level, there's a board of directors, which governs the organization. And the board of directors is made up of what we call advisory board and the core board, so just a minor detail. Then we have this body that's called Council of Representatives, which is really represents people across the nation. So in other words, we've built a structure that represents Sudanese Americans wherever they are in the U.S. And underneath that, there are state representatives that will represent the states where Sudanese Americans are. If there are states where there are no Sudanese Americans, then it could be a group of states represented by somebody representing a region. So, and then from there, the real work begins and happens at the local chapters. So the local chapters are what really feeds this organization that we're planning to create. And we have local chapters active now in at least 4 cities across the country and growing very quickly. In terms of governance as well, so the board that started the organization basically wanted to be able to build a very strong foundation. And so what we decided that we're going to do is we're going to oversee this work, okay, for the first 4 years, and make sure that it's a solid foundation before we start getting into any big growth plans at the governance level. So basically, the organization is incorporated in the state of Virginia, so the incorporators who are members of the board will oversee this organization for the first 4 years, okay, before there's any addition to the board, basically, what we're planning to do. And then in these first 4 years, we plan to grow the organization from the bottom up and then build the representation across these states, which will eventually add more members to the board, and then elections and all the things that have to happen in the future. But just a brief idea about how we're going to build an organization across the states. Okay, so as I mentioned again, I won't repeat this organization. We're going to make sure that we're learning from our mistakes, and so we're going to avoid all the pitfalls that have destroyed a lot of these efforts that we've attempted to do before. So a lot of learnings. As I mentioned, we're going to focus on developing young leaders. We are, an important point to make, we see ourselves as a complement to the local Jaliyas. Okay? And Jaliyas are local communities, Sudanese communities across the country, which many are very strong. Obviously, the Jaliya here in DC and Virginia is a model, very successful, and many of them are represented here. We've seen their work, so we really are a complement to what the local Jaliyas are doing. there's absolutely no competition in what we try to do, but we work through these Jalias because the Jalias are obviously involved in local day-to-day social activities. So we work through these. There's absolutely no conflict or no competition. And then, obviously, like I said, we're basically provide a national voice for Sudanese Americans across the country. A key point to make, which we have made it in our website very clear, but I want to hit it on it again, because we get asked this question a lot. And obviously people are curious, who are we and do we get any funding from anywhere? We want to state very clearly that we have absolutely no affiliation with the governments of any government, period, basically, or any political party, or any organization for that matter. We are individuals coming together to do this effort, grassroots, no funding from any external organization whatsoever. We are focused on bringing people together and serving the common interests, and many of the speakers after me will emphasize this point. We believe in the core values of American democracy, constitutional democracy, and the separation of religion and state in all of our affairs. As I mentioned, we complement the local organizations as opposed to compete with them. Just briefly before I close, I want to share with you some of the thinking around some of the projects that we are thinking about, and we'll be launching and hopefully discussing with you and trying to get some feedback and ideas from you. One of the projects that we discussed, and Dr. Samuel Badri had is really we think that Sudanese Americans have not been very well represented in terms of the census. So the census data does not really, we don't believe, accurately reflects what we think are the real numbers. And so one concept that we're exploring right now is to conduct what we believe, what we call a Sudanese American census. And so it's a big project, but we have people that have worked on the census and have experience doing this with the Arab American Foundation. We are going to explore this concept so that we can make sure that our numbers are well represented, so that we can begin to engage our elected officials in a better way and be able to represent our voice much better. Scholarship fund, obviously this is something that many of you have thought about. It's not a new idea, but we think that it's time that we are going to get serious about supporting our students. Later tomorrow we're going to recognize excellence in education and many other areas, and so we are going to be looking at starting a scholarship fund. A business network. Later today you will hear some of the business leaders, Sadiq back there and Sally, will speak about their experience as entrepreneurs, and we are very much interested in networking our people and giving opportunity to the young generations who are interested in becoming entrepreneurs to network together with experts who have done this already and really form a network to support each other and help grow our businesses together. Along with that, mentoring program. So we have, individually, we have participated in many mentoring activities in our own professions, but we want to bring that in, and Amal has explored this concept, and I think together with Mahmoud are very interested in forming a mentoring program, and that's going to be an important piece of what we want to do. A volunteer match program. You will hear a little bit later about some of the organizations that are doing work in Sudan and South Sudan, and so we want to be able to link them with people across our communities who are interested in volunteering. So basically matching volunteer opportunities for those that are interested in giving back and volunteering back home. We have a concept that was brought to us last night, in fact, with a discussion with one of our members, and we are interested in exploring, basically really understanding our community members who are disabled. So we have one of our members who are going to lead us into a discussion around the needs of disabled Sudanese Americans, and really make us more aware of how we can best accommodate and include them in all our programs. So these are just briefly some of the things that we are looking at, and we are, by no means this is a complete list, but just a way to get you thinking around. We are interested in serious ideas, and we want to hear from you. يعني بعض الآراء ideas اللي ممكن يعني تشوفوا الorganizations زي دي ممكن to take on at a national level. I'm going to really skip through this because Farouk will cover the concept of advocacy as immigrant communities, why it's important for us to advocate for our causes, because clearly we are the only ones who have the need. And so I want to touch on the concept of advocacy and really just move on forward to introduce Dr. Samuel Bedri to go through our presentation and then followed by Farouk. And so with that, it's my pleasure to introduce you a good friend, somebody that has spent a great deal of time thinking about Sudanese Americans and really looking at the data and how we can identify our needs from the data that's out there, basically. So really, who are the Sudanese Americans? Where are they?